If it wasn't for SICAP and WLD, I think travellers still would be stuck back 20 years ago to now.
It's really crucial that, travellers with lived experience participate and not just turn up to meetings, such as, we'll say, the LTAC or, a consultation around the Traveller Accommodation Programme, but they're part of that process from start, middle, before it ever gets to a Traveller Accommodation Programme, that their voices are heard.
A lot of culture is based down to communication, either lack of communication or incorrect communication. And the only way to make changes is through understanding.
You know, Mary, what they want, but we know what they need, because we're the council. Now, this is our job, and we've been doing this. And I'm sitting there, a woman breaking her heart crying because the fella's not listening to her. Whatever happens, that's the way it is. And that's what I was saying to the girls there this morning. If some person in authority was saying something, and I knew that wasn't right, and I knew he was telling lies, I'd be afraid to say anything in case I get into trouble. But then I learned that I didn't have to let it go. I said, excuse me, that hasn't been proved. And where's the evidence for that? Instead of saying, you're a liar. And that's what I was saying about it's their game. You learn their language and you do it their way.
And it's very good for the staff to hear that directly, hear about those experiences, expectations, the letdowns as well as the hopes. So that's very positive. It's only through gathering and developing your understanding that you're able to work towards some kind of an agreed common goal. So that kind of consultation is vital, both in terms of community style work, but for housing work as well, because where you're trying to deliver housing units or homes for people.
We brought a lot of travellers who would have leadership roles within the community or emerging, and we included younger travellers as well. We brought them together in Murphy's Barn with more experienced activists like Mary. We also had people come from Wexford County Council from the housing section, and they stood up and they listened and they heard and they explained something. So there was a two-way dialogue.
Workshops, the likes of those, are very useful, and getting out and meeting people, getting out and understanding what their needs and expectations are.
There was dialogue and there was relationships developed. And the key message that all of us took out, both ourselves and the council and the travellers, was something needs to change about being listened to.
As I say, there is positive change since when I started until now. They are listening, and it is very important that travellers is on it. What we learn from them meetings, we bring back on our outreach, what we're after hearing and knowing. And even the same with the applications for housing, the new members to go on the housing list. Back then I don't think they had a choice. As being put on the halting sites or the housing groups. Now on the applications, it'll tell you about halting sites or the group houses or to be in the authority ones. So now they have a choice. So I think that's really important, and that's a change on its own.
We don't own the communities, we don't make them participate. It's completely voluntary, and I suppose it's raising people's awareness of how getting involved in collective action can make their lives better, individuals' lives better, but it's always what we're doing in the community development side of SICAP is around collectivity, and and it really is changing systems and structures.
I've always wanted to have a traveller development group, traveller led, but we couldn't do that without settled people. We couldn't do it totally on our own. We could have a traveller coordinator or an outreach worker or whatever it might be, but without Mary Louise, this wouldn't have happened today.
SICAP, what it looks like in communities, is the community workers, because communities don't see the frameworks, and they don't see, Iris, they don't see, they see the worker, the community worker that's there in front of them. One of the things that was huge coming out of Murphy's Barn was there was more solidarity within the community collectively, and people had genuinely participated, and there was a basis. So, like, we're taking that and we're going again with it to try and look at. We can't force a traveller-led organisation to happen in County Wexford, but what we can certainly do is create the conditions and to work alongside people who want that outcome.
When you say halting site, you're a traveller. They've been fighting for the name for years and years, but one of the girls off the halting site at the time, Alice Connors, which is moved now, she's no longer in the halting site, and she was, because she was a resident on it, and because she was a younger member on the halting site as well, it was more embarrassing for her. But the older ones that was on it said, look, we're after living with years now, we're after getting by, and what's the point now? But Alice was kind of Lala, we know her better as Lala. So Lala was kind of pushing it, no, this is not good enough, like, it has to change. Because the car insurance was up in the foul elements. And plus, even in school, when the children themselves, like their children, it was embarrassing. Everybody
gets labels. And where you live is one of the biggest labels that you carry with you. And to change from what sounds like transitionary, temporary halting site to an actual name, like a Mountain View or Marsh Meadows or wherever it may be, that is something of pride of where you come from. Yes, it identifies your community, but it doesn't say that something is transitory. It says, this is where I live, this is where I come from. And I have the same right to a name of the place that I live.
They had got the new signage, the chief executive came up, the cohort came up, we had national politicians attend, and the residents all came out. And we just had, in the rain, we had, a little bit of a celebration and a party, and, Larry on the halting site sang for us. So there was plenty of Wexford singing. And it was very much rooted in the place, in traveller identity. And people were so proud, and people were so delighted to welcome, officials and decision makers on to what is now Mountain View. And a couple of the women got up and spoke how much it meant to them. And I've heard that repeated back to me by some of the people that were there that day, as they hadn't realised how important that would be to somebody. And that's something structural. But what happened in the background with us, and like which SICAP enables, is the confidence for those women on the day to be able to speak and to clearly articulate how important this was in their lives and in the lives of their families and the community.
It gives them a vehicle to be able to engage with each other and to express their opinions at a very grassroots basis. So in terms of a model of giving input, giving feedback, and participation in local decision making, it's really, really valuable and very strong. So that the work that WLD do there in delivering that, in delivering their programs under SICAP, it's actually a great model for delivery.
For me, personally, you're finding out more every day. You're networking with other people that are in the same situation as you. And you've tried this thing and you've tried that and you've tried it this way and you've tried the other and it didn't work. And you go to a meeting and somebody else is on about the same thing and I did this. And you say, oh, well, I never tried that one. You know, you learn something from networking.
I think these meetings and bringing the travellers together and getting their input on it and their problems, that she can hear it as well. Mary Louise knows there is still a lot of problems with travellers, but we're getting there, and change, like there is a lot of change and a lot of positive change. And travellers are living longer because of the work I do. Travellers are living longer, they're much happier, and they've more confidence within the services as well, and they've more confidence in us.